What's up guys? If you clicked on this video, I'm guessing that you have one question on your mind, and that's how do I tune the dwell on my HPA Airsoft replica? Well, it's actually a lot easier than you might think. So we're going to go over tuning the dwell on our Spartan Electronics on this episode of What the Tech. Tuning the dwell on your airsoft guns is one of the best ways to get the maximum performance out of your replica, whether it's ensuring that you have more consistent velocity or that you're not wasting too much air. It's a great tool to ensure that you have the most fun while you're out on the field. If you're curious to know more about the subject, check out the link in the description for our video about what dwell is. Now, what are you going to need to get started? It's actually super straightforward. All we're going to need is our airsoft gun, our BBs, and a chrono. If you don't have a chrono, there's a lot of great options on the market now that aren't really that expensive. And if you don't want to buy one, maybe you know a buddy who does. But they're a great tool that will be invaluable for you as an HPA Airsoft player. And if you don't have one, I'd recommend looking into it. Anyway, let's get started. It's worth noting that I'm going to be doing this on an MTW, but if you have one of our Spartan drop-in kits, these steps are just going to be the exact same. So to get started, let's just go ahead and get into programming mode. We're going to just hold down the trigger, plug in the battery. The next thing we're going to do is just go ahead and start off by setting the dwell to the max setting. So with the selector switch in semi-auto, we're just going to hold down the trigger until we hear it double tap. And to save that, we're just going to go ahead and unplug the board and plug it back in. So now that we have the dwell set to the max, we can set our velocity. And we're not going to set the velocity with the dwell, which is a common misunderstanding, but we're going to set the velocity by adjusting the regulator. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to about 1.2 joules just for the sake of the video. So it's a little high, and I'm just going to turn down the regulator. So now that we have the velocity set, let's get into tuning the dwell. So we're just going to go back into programming mode. Once again, just by holding down the trigger and plugging in the battery. And now, again, with it set to the semi-auto position, all I'm going to do is hold down the trigger and fire through the chronograph until we see the velocity drop. So now we see the velocity drop down. I can double check where it's at just by tapping and letting go of the trigger. So now I'm just going to double tap it, and we should see the velocity come back up to a stable position. And now we're back at about 1.25, which is where I was before. We can see though that the velocity still doesn't seem super consistent, which probably means we're still a touch under dwelled, so I'm going to step it back up even one more time. And now the velocity seems nice and stable. So that's exactly where we want to be, and I'm simply going to unplug the board and plug it back in to save our settings. And that's all there is to it. So hopefully if this process seemed daunting at first, this video cleared up any questions you might have had, and you can see that once you get used to it, this process will only take you a couple of minutes. So thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, don't forget to check out the channel for other great content just like this. Maybe drop us a comment or a thumbs up to let us know how we're doing, and we'll see y'all out on the field.